Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Harmonious World. My name is Hilary Seabrook, and for this very special episode, I'm joined by members of the Shalosh trio. Their album, Tales of Utopia, came out a couple of weeks ago. This is an album about a search for poise and peacefulness. And Shalosh are based in Israel. And this weekend, the war has taken a whole new meaning. And it's really hard for us all to know how to react. So I am looking forward to discussing Tales of Utopia, but also the situation in Israel. What you're listening to now is the title track, Tales of Utopia. So thank you for joining me once more for this episode of Harmonious World, and for what I think is going to be a very interesting discussion. Welcome to the latest episode of Harmonious World, and I am joined by Gadi Stern, who is the pianist with the Shalosh trio. So welcome, Gadi.
Thank you. Glad to be on your show.
Okay, well, I am talking to you about your album Tales of Utopia, which is out now. And just to put a bit of context, 2 days ago, there was that terrible ramping up of a war that's been going on for many, many years. And obviously, sitting in Tel Aviv, Gadi, you are in a very precarious position. And so I'm very grateful to you for talking to me.
I'm glad to have the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. And as you said, as we were chatting before we started this properly, the title of the album is Tales of Utopia, and there's a sense of irony about that, and it's no coincidence, is it? So how did you and the rest of the trio start working on this album? Because obviously it's not your first by any means.
Yeah, I mean, I would even say that it's not irony. I do believe in coincidence in general, but I do not think that this is a coincidence, because we created the album during the Corona crisis, which wasn't nearly as bad as what we're experiencing right now, but it was a crisis, and it was a feeling like the world stops, which is similar to now. And we got together in our room and we tried to create our own utopia, our own perfect world. And you asked me before this interview if I'm even willing to come up and talk, because it is a bit strange to go on an interview and promote your album when your country's burning, and so many people are getting killed. And I told you we might have to stop the interview if there's sirens and I have to go into the shelter. And so it's a crazy position to have a promotional talk. But I think that what Hamas did and the whole concept of this religious war is dystopian. It's the opposite of a utopia. It's people who are who are living to kill or get killed, and this is their world. It is a dystopia. It is the darkest angle of the human spirit, and you've had it in many places in history, and no country is innocent, and no one is perfect. No one is an angel. No one is perfect. But I feel that I have the right, and we have the right, as a band, as Israelis, as humans, we have the right to strive for utopia. We have the right to talk about positivity. We have the right to express empathy. And I'm feeling that if I do not promote this message, I'm giving in to the dystopia. So this album was created, in the crazy world where everything stops for everyone. That was international, and we basically made up stories, and we took legends that we like, and we made up stories to make us feel good. Because the albums before that, we were always quite political in our music, even though we don't have lyrics in the songs. But the song titles and the messages that we sent always dealt with some kind of politics. Our second album is entitled Rules of Oppression. We have a song about Netanyahu, a little bit of like a protest song called The Emperor's New Clothes. Our whole album before Tales of Utopia was called Broken Balance and dealt with some political concepts. But we also always dealt with positivity. Like our third album is entitled Onwards and Upwards, and we always dealt with trying to look at things either in a humorous way or in a positive way. One gig in UK where we had some protesters preaching free Gaza. So we came out and we took their free Gaza pins and we put them on our jackets, and we were like, all right, sure. I mean, what do you want from us? We're on your side. Like, we are pro people. We've
Yeah.
always been. Even after this massacre and after this, all the horror stories that we hear and we see on those videos with kids getting killed and elderly people getting kidnapped and killed, and really horrible stuff. I still have empathy for kids in Gaza, and I still have hope for a better future. And I'm not going into this hate rampage. So it's a lot of words to basically say that this album is about telling stories and is about escapism and getting away from a reality into storytelling. And the story about the hero is about a hero who's going on a journey, and it's also an inner journey, looking for an inner utopia, looking for peace, looking for harmony.
This is a really good jazz album. The jazz is great. And it tells stories that feel that like they come from all sorts of different traditions. And that's what's nice about it. It's not from a, Judeo-Christian heritage and it's all in there. There's some Greek mythology and there's all sorts of stuff about the stories that we all tell. And I think one of the things about music is the same as the thing that is true about stories we tell, is that they cross boundaries. And wherever you are in the world and whoever you are, we all tell stories and we all listen to music. And those are the kind of unifying things that we have to hold on to at terrible, terrible times. And I know that's easy for me to say. I'm sitting here in the UK and I'm perfectly safe. But all my thoughts are with you and your children, and knowing that at any moment, this will be cut short because of some horrendous stuff that is happening where you are. But we're all in this together because of the things that link us, and the things that link us are things like music and telling stories.
Absolutely. And it's, for me, it's a huge privilege to be able to give that. It's a cliche thing to say, but I pink myself, every gig that we play where people are moved by the music or getting emotional by the music or sing along with us or whatever, I pinch myself that it's like, it's not about me. It's really a privilege to give that to people.
Yeah. I want to play an extract from The Market. Now, I decided on that before all of this happened because that was one of the tracks that I liked. But I guess it's things like that are hit most. I mean, you're about, what are you, 40 miles away from the Gaza Strip? Something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the distance for me to get into London. It's exactly the same.
Sure. Yeah.
That's incredible when you think of it like that. the market is something that we all do all the time. You know, you have to go and you have to buy your food, you have to sell things or buy things. And that's such a poignant moment, isn't it? Because those are the things that must get changed irrevocably by events like this.
Yeah, everyone is shut in their houses now. But I mean, actually, that song it's just a part of the story where the hero. It's I had in mind like this Arabian tale, kind of like or Disney Aladdin going into the big city and going to the market and all the colors and all the smells and the tastes and we have a big market here in I'm actually in Jerusalem right now,
Oh, okay.
at my parents' house because they have a good shelter. But in Jerusalem, we have this market. It's very, very colorful and vivid market with, lots of Arabic food and lots of Middle Eastern things and also hipster bars. And it's a very colorful place. Also, a place where there were lots of suicide attacks over the years, and I've experienced a few traumas there as well. But I think that's an image of a market that I also have. And I also say that the nice thing about this band is that the songs are by everyone. Each band member contributes some of the songs, and you bring the song to the band, and you don't really tell too much. You have your own perception of the song, your image, and then everyone has their image of the song, and we create the song together. But we don't talk too much about the images. And I think that's something nice about this band that it's a real band. It's a real there's no band leader, and everyone puts their own input to this story. And also, this is the reason we had a thought about writing this because we have a story for the whole album. We wrote out a story. That's how we created the album.
Yeah.
But we decided not to write it in the liner notes because the listener can create his or her own story, from the titles. And that's also because, like you said, music is a universal language, and the fact that it's my story doesn't mean that it has to be it can be London market for you if you listen to it, or it can be a market in Morocco, or but it's you can listen. And actually the song itself had lots of different transformations. It started as a Cuban song. We even had a few Cuban percussionist and a singer on the track, and we recorded it in Barcelona a year and a half ago, and then we decided to put it on the shelf and record a new version for the trio, which is not Cuban. We will release at some point the video from Barcelona, but yeah, the song went through a few different phases.
Right. That's really interesting because I really like that one. And it is interesting what you say about you can make your own story, because actually that's what we do anyway, isn't it? When we're listening to music, it conjures up images for us from wherever we are and places we've been and things that we've seen. So I usually at this point ask what plans you've got for the future, but I guess touring is all on hold.
No, we will go on tour, and I think at the moment I might bring my family on the road and get out for a little bit. We're talking about it, because me and Matan, we're both fathers, so
right.
We're definitely not going to leave the kids here if we go on the road. But talking again about Utopia and Tales of Utopia, I think that the fact that me and Matan became fathers was influential for this album. Because this is what, like this whole war, for example, every time there's an alarm, I play a game with my kids. It's like hide and seek. And we have to go to the shelter, and it's all funny, and we're laughing, and it's like, who gets first to the shelter, and we try to keep it, and sorry, I mean, I know that it's a music interview, but the heartbreaking stories with entire families locked in their house, parents and their kids, with terrorists in the house, breaking in, kidnapping the kids into Gaza. It's just like, this breaks my heart in a way, like as a father, like I cannot comprehend this evil. This is just like something that because I always try to see the other side, you know, in every war. Like, you know, we had many wars. We never had anything like this, but we had
No.
wars with missiles fired in both directions. You know,
Yeah.
Hamas firing their missiles to Israel and Israel firing back with their airplanes. You know, obviously, people in Gaza have no shelters and are living in crazy poverty and impossible conditions, uh, and they get hurt much more. And I've always been very aware of that. In every war, I was always thinking about the kids in Gaza, and I've always been thinking about. But like in this level of evilness is just like
Yeah.
I cannot, and you know, like people who call those terrorists freedom fighters, that drives me crazy.
Yeah.
You're not a freedom fighter if you do that. It's like no way. And I you know, and I put PC aside here, you know, because I think the hypocrisy that left wing and right wing always has in Israel is that the right wing sees the Arabs as complete monsters, and the left wing sees them as righteous, and neither is true. It's very hypocrite because they're people just like
Yeah.
us. But the difference is that when you have no system of law and you have anarchy and you have a dystopia, you will crumble down to the worst aspects of human nature.
Yeah.
And this is what comes out. So every human has this dark side in them. And that's also something that we approached, I think, in the music. We tried also to not in this album so much, but in previous albums. I think in Broken Balance we have a song called "The Last 8th of April," which is a dystopian song. It's a song about really like the horrors of human nature in a way, the dark side, if you may. It's not that I can't understand it. It's just I can't empathize with it. I can understand how you can crumble to the worst, you know, kind of human, but I will never empathize with it. I will never empathize with the cause or you know, it's even wars have laws, you know, have
Yeah.
you know, but this
I
album, we really, it's you know, it's not a good album to talk about in the sense of this war because this album was all about escaping the reality. They were
yeah.
like, okay, we're just going to go to stories, and everything is from the fantastic world, you know, like the fantasy. Every song, yeah, has this a fantastic little story to it.
Yeah. But isn't that what you're doing with your children when you're playing?
Absolutely, actually, yes, that's exactly the same.
There is that sense of escapism, and we all need that from time to time. And now more than ever, your
Yeah,
children need that.
I find myself, you know, seeing a video on the phone of, you know, a woman who just got raped, dragged in the streets of Gaza. And then I put the phone aside and my wife finishes something with the kids and I do a dance party with them because, you know, to be
Yeah.
happy because they're locked in the house. They need activity. So we do a dance party and we sing and we play and we're playful and I'm a
Yeah.
lion and they're rabbits and I'm chasing them and you know all these and that's also what we do in the music in a sense, you know.
Yeah.
And that's something, you know, if we'll go on, I mean, when we'll go on tour in November, I'm sure it will be powerful, you know, to have to go every night and make people happy. Um, while I'm not, I don't know where this war is going to go, but it's not going to be short. So I'm pretty
No.
sure it will still go on. So I will have to do some serious mental work to make people happy and also make myself happy and feel okay about it.
But also know that people in the audience will know what you have left behind and what you are bringing. You're bringing some of that with you. And we, as your audience, are kind of trying to extend that sense of solidarity.
Thank you.
That's all
Thank
we
you for
can
that.
do.
Yeah, I was very moved by the, you know, we got lots of messages from fans all around the world. And I was very moved by every message, you know, like support message and the way that the world reacted, you know, uh,
Yeah.
really standing with the people here because it means a lot, you know.
Good.
I'm so used to I've never been defending Israel's government, you know. I've always, I mean, not always, but for many years I've been opposing the Israeli government and their actions, and I've always seen the occupation as not moral, and also very stupid uh, way of dealing, like just not dealing with the.
I don't even know what to say. My connection has just been broken with Gadi in Jerusalem. I've cut short this, but there were several moments there of silence. That was terrifying, Gadi.
Actually, my phone just died suddenly, so.
Oh, honestly, I can't tell you. That was just awful.
Yeah. Oh, you'll hear the sirens if something happens. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
But this is again like talking about human nature. This is and like that Roberto Benigni movie where him and his kid are in the Holocaust and he's making it a game, and I'm thinking a lot about that as a father right now. And there is something with the human nature, always finding normalcy, always finding, always able to cope with insane things that much harder than what I'm experiencing right now. And that's I think also this whole universal musical connection comes to this very human, the basic human need to be okay,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's again the all human thing that we talked about.
Right. Okay. Which brings us right back to, what you've done, the Shalosh trio, as together with Tales of Utopia, is you have brought together this story behind the music that is just, we're all searching for utopia, aren't we?
Yeah, and we're all searching, and I don't think any of us wishes to find it, because it's not a real thing. But
no.
the search is definitely real.
Yeah.
The strive, that hidden purpose that we go for. Also, that's something that I love about jazz music. The fact that there is this place that everyone is going to in the band. They're all striving somewhere, but it's not like a pop song where you have the A part and then the chorus, and like it's more things move around much more. And I find it, for me, a strong manifestation of the human experience.
Right.
The search for utopia is the thing. It's not finding it, and he doesn't find it in the album as well. He gets married, but
yeah. But we all know that doesn't always bring utopia.
Sure,
every minute of every day.
Sure.
And actually, isn't life is about the journey and about making the most of every minute along that journey, whether you're searching for utopia or just kind of trying to get by. But it's the journey that you're on. There is no end. Well, exactly. There is an end, but
Yeah, that's the best. This is my problem with all the Disney movies. I love the Disney stories, but their biggest problem is that they always try to find an end. And the best stories are open ended. The best story and the best songs also are open ended, where they can go here or there. And the best movies, I don't know if the best, but the ones that I connect to the most.
Yeah. Also, I think in terms of music, the best songs are, when you feel that there's always something more that can be done with them. And, it's like cover versions of, or standards, or, whatever, that we're always striving to produce something which is saying more about that particular song or that particular track. Yeah,
that's something interesting about making original music and in jazz, because our live concerts are always different from the album, and we always try to this song is an organism. And again, if I'll talk about the war, it's like, and I before the conversation got cut off, I was talking about the stupidity of it and the stupidity of occupation. Or I look at the news now, and people talk about the resolution, like there is a resolution, and there is no resolution. There's no resolution of conflict, and you can't defeat the other side. It's not really an option. I like that our songs don't have a resolution, and that they can go in different places, and they're open-ended. And also in this album, we we recorded it in one room with no headphones and very live, and no editing was done. So the whole liveness and the flaws that every musician has, they come up in the recording, and that's, you know, the strive for humanity, and that's also an element that we were thinking about.
Yeah. Well, I can think of no better way to end this episode than that. Thank you so much. I have really appreciated, especially at these difficult, impossible times, that you spared me this time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on. Thank you.
I was considering finishing this podcast without playing a track at the end. But actually, the music is what this is all about. And if we've got anything to make sense of this world, it's the music. So this is Wedding Song from Tales of Utopia by Shalosh Trio. And I cannot thank Gadi enough for joining me earlier today for this podcast episode. And this is a special episode that is going out. But thank you for joining me. And if ever we all want to make this world a little more harmonious, it's today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to the latest episode of Harmonious World. My name is Hilary Seabrook, and it's a great delight to bring this series of discussions with musicians and composers and writers and all sorts of people to you. Obviously, there's no point in having a podcast if people aren't listening, and I'm very grateful to my listeners for doing so. Thanks also to Joe English for composing and performing this new theme tune. So wherever you get your podcast, you can leave a review. You can share this with your friends and family, either as a link or on social media and that sort of thing. I'd be really grateful for that. Don't forget that you can subscribe now. There's a link wherever you get your podcasts. So have a great week, and please remember why I started this, which is just to try and make the world a little more harmonious. Thanks for listening to Harmonious World.